I may consider a different opinion at that time, but at this time, I am against extending the program.
Our next question is that, according to a Chicago Sun-Times article, Illinois has faced a large growing gap between sustainable revenues and projected spending level, leading to fiscal problems. How would you fix Illinois' serious problems such as fiscal condition and high unemployment?
Ms. Rodriguez, you have a minute.
Well, it's true. We have the state spending. We need to audit the state spending and know where that is. But we have promised to sunset the temporary income tax and then to set ourselves on a path to a zero personal income tax. There are several states, Illinois, many people are leaving the state, and that migration out of Illinois is 750,000 people in the last 10 years. People are leaving our state because the taxes are so high. And they're going to states like Florida and Tennessee and Texas, where there's zero personal income tax. If we could set ourselves on a path for a zero personal income tax, businesses will head back here. Small businesses, 80% of small businesses pay their tax rate at the personal income tax rate. The reason businesses want to be here is because of logistics. Illinois is in the middle of the country, and you can move cargo or people through Illinois by any mode of transportation. Businesses want to be here for logistical reasons. It matters to their bottom line. If we can lower taxes and lower regulations on businesses, they will be back.
Thank you very much. Mr. Kim, you have a minute.
I'm not sure if you can answer that question in a minute. Illinois obviously has an extremely difficult financial situation. Of course, we have to do something about the pensions. Unfortunately, the pension plan that was passed recently is now in the court system. We believe that it may look it's going to be unconstitutional. So we have to do something about the pension system. And we also have to, what Maria was saying, is to bring jobs back here into Illinois. In 13 years, we've lost $26 billion worth of revenues. So rather than government trying to simply increase the tax rate, we have to actually increase our tax base so that more people here in Illinois will have good jobs here in Illinois, in which they will pay taxes, they'll go to restaurants, they'll do all of the necessary things so that there will be more revenue here in Illinois. We can't continue to tax ourselves out of this fiscal situation. That's not going to work. We're not going to be able to fix the fiscal problem overnight, but at least what we can do with the new governor, when Treasurer Rutherford becomes the governor, is to change the perception into Illinois, where Illinois will be once again welcome for a job destination state.
Ms. Tracy, you have one.
Several years ago, we passed the largest state income tax increase in Illinois' history. I did not support it, I did not vote for it, and I've called for the repeal of it. It increased our taxes by 67%. And with that, that's about 1 week's wages from every Illinois family. Over the course of that time when it's supposed to sunset at the end of 2015, but over the course it's raised $26 billion. However, Illinois is worse off fiscally because of the total Democrat control in our legislature. They have continued to overspend our budget. Today, in the legislature, we set a resolution recognizing that we are only going to spend no more. Our budget limit is $36 billion. We've done that for the last 3 years, and that was an initiative led by the House Republicans and the Senate Republicans, because we know that what has got our fiscal drums in place is the fact that we have overspent. So until the state is better stewards of their spending, we cannot expect that the Illinois taxpayers will get more money without seeing any gain on the unfunded liability of the pensions or the payment of overdue bills that lays on the comptroller's desk. So that is what is the key to being a better government, is to rein in spending.
All right, thank you. We've had a lot of serious questions so far, so we'll have a nice little fun one right now. So if you and your running mate could describe yourself with a movie, which would it be?
Mr. Kim.
Okay. Wow. Well, I could be Jackie Chan, right? sidekick. That's what I have. That's the only movies I can think of.
Thank you. Chan. Next, Ms. Tracy, you have a minute.
Well, sometimes campaigning seems like Groundhog Day, and probably most of you have seen it. But deja vu has a new meaning. But anyway, I would think maybe the, here I am, I can't think of the name of it, Sandra Bullock's Miss American Genius. Miss Congeniality, there you go. The sidekick of, yes, that's a very good question. We haven't had time for a lot of movies here lately. Anyway, that would be the best way I can, if you ever saw the movie Multiplicity, sometimes we think that when we campaign, we make clones of ourselves and repeat ourselves quite often. But that's the best I can give you right tonight. Is Miss Congeniality.
Thank you. And last, Ms. Rodriguez.
Right, as she said, there's not really much time to go to the movies these days. I would say, I see such opportunity here in Illinois. Right now we're 50 for job growth, but we have every advantage, and there's such promise here that I think I'm going to go with the Field of Dreams, because it's, I can't say if you build it, they will come, but I think that in fact, I'm absolutely confident at what we can see here in Illinois. And so I think if we are all involved to work together, we will see great, great things. So I'm going to go with the Field of Dreams.
Thank you so much. All right, our next question is that the Congressional Budget Office has indicated that raising the federal minimum wage from $7.25 to $10.10 could cost 500,000 jobs while lifting 900,000 people out of poverty. What choice would you make when it comes to the minimum wage in Illinois?
Ms. Tracy, you have a minute.
At this point in time, with Illinois' economy like it is and our high unemployment, it seems like, and certainly Governor Quinn has mentioned raising the minimum wage, and I think that's just a reflection of his dismal economic policies, because I live in downstate, and I can tell you that as a legislator, I've visited over and over with small businesses and people trying to find work. And what I believe a minimum wage increase at this point in time would do is have a net effect of causing employers to have fewer jobs available. And it would have a net effect of raising up the cost of living to everyone. And so there would be no gain of raising the minimum wage, because you would see consumer prices raise. I was at a restaurant yesterday, and the owner of that restaurant said that she would have to raise the cost of her food there. So, she was barely making it as it is. I had one grocer in a very small rural town tell me that if minimum wage was raised, he would shutter his doors. And 11 employees there in that small town would lose all their employment, and that the community would lose its grocery store. So I would not support it at this point in time in Illinois.
Ms. Rodriguez, the question is directed to you.
Well, the minimum wage as it sits in Illinois right now is already above the average. And I support leaving it right there right now. I don't think you can certainly reduce the minimum wage. That doesn't make any sense. I think that you take $2,000 a year out of the pockets of the people right now. But you also can't raise it for, just as Jill Tracy said, you have to understand businesses have a certain amount of money that's come into them. Okay, they have to pay, they can pay out only so much. If they have to pay a higher wage to certain employees, then they're stuck. I know my husband in our business, when Obamacare came out, and all of a sudden here's the free health care, and he says, well, I have to talk to my employees. Should I dock everybody $1 an hour, or should I fire 2 guys? Because that's what you're faced with as an employer. We need to build good jobs that are jobs that you could raise a family on. You can't raise a family on minimum wage. That should be a stepping stone. So we have to focus on a healthy, thriving economy rather than just increasing the minimum wage.
Mr. Ken?
Yes, I do not support lowering the state's minimum wage or increasing. And it's because I believe that the greatest impact on raising the minimum wage will be on our small business community. The large companies, maybe they may be able to handle it, but it's the small businesses which I think will have the biggest impact, which I believe will impact a lot of the first-time workers, such as students. Remember, when I was going to college, I had a minimum wage job, and that helped me go through and finish college. And I think it will have a negative impact on the small businesses where they will have to lay off people and won't be able to hire these first-time workers, such as students and immigrants. So I believe it will have a negative impact on that. And I believe every American should be able to make as much money as possible, but I just don't believe that state government should put like an artificial cost of living that's going to impact our business community, our churches, and just our community in general. I think that's something that we need to let the market forces work itself out. I just think that it will have a much negative impact on our young children, our young wage earners also. Thank you.
So students might be getting more financial aid for college, but the cost of college continues to rise much more than this assistance. What will your administration do to actually make the cost of Illinois colleges more affordable?
Ms. Rodriguez, you may begin.
Well, I think our whole education system has to be looked at and reformed, but as far as the college level education, Senator Brady has talked about instituting a plan where perhaps we could approach the high schools about, in some way, having an associate's program where you graduate from high school and you have an associate's degree with your high school graduation. That would certainly cut the cost of college education and give people other options when they graduate from high school. I think there are a variety of options, and actually I was talking to the superintendent before this about really getting into the discussion. This is, again, where you can come in. Urge your lawmakers to look at all the options that are possible. It really matters to your future. It matters to how much money you'll have when you get out of college and what you can do. So we really need to get our heads in the game and demand that the lawmakers look at other options.
Thank you. Mr. Kim, you may now begin.
The treasurer said that as governor, the first thing that he's going to do is he's going to do a performance audit of the entire state government. That is, we're going to look at all of the government agencies and see where there's waste and where there's inefficiencies. We can do the same thing with our state university system. These large universities, they're in a way like mini cities. There's a large bureaucracy. What we can do is we can do a performance audit where we look at different programs and all of the different departments and see which ones are underperforming, and those that are underperforming we need to maybe get rid of. See those that are performing well, we can boost them and bolster them. And what we have to do is we have to get rid of the waste, and we have to streamline some of the bureaucracy. But also what I believe in is also we got to work with businesses and companies to enhance the work-study program so that more students could take advantage of private sector business experience in companies. So we will work closely with the private sector corporations to bring them into a public-private partnership into universities.
Thank you. Ms. Tracy?
I think it comes down to the prioritization of where we spend our state funds. And I have observed in the Clinton administration not using the best of prioritization of its funding, and it has ignored funding of higher education. And as a result, we've seen costs in our higher education institutions. The fees have risen, the cost of tuition has risen, and it troubles me very much that I see students going to schools outside the state of Illinois, and with that, very often, the students who go outside the state of Illinois to attend college will stay outside of this state of Illinois. And that greatly troubles me as a mother of 4 children who has seen that firsthand. So I want to see that we make a more efficient government, we prioritize better, and that we have more funds available for funding public education and in regards to this question, higher education, so that they have timely and better payments so that the tuition and fees are more affordable for all Illinois families.
Thank you. Our next question is that even though you're a Republican candidate, what's a Democratic platform stance that you side with? And at the same time, what Republican platform stance do you think makes the most sense for Democrats to adopt?
Mr. Kim?
Well, I think whether Republican or Democrat, I think we're aiming for the same things here, and that is to improve the state, improve the future of Illinois. So I agree with all Democrats in their efforts to improve the lives of the people here in Illinois. But of course, we obviously differ in different methods. But one thing that I would call maybe a Republican viewpoint is I think a smaller government, more efficient government, having the taxpayers' money within the taxpayers themselves rather than giving it out to others, giving people more independence and control of their lives. I think that's something that resonates with not just Republicans, but also with Democrats, independents, with everyone. Because this country is about freedom. People come to this country from all over the world, so that government will leave them alone, and they can work hard and become the best that they can be, and also provide the best opportunity for their children. So I think having the freedom to do that and having government out of your pocketbooks is something that resonates with everyone here.
The question is directed to you, Ms. Tracy.
Yes, what I've observed of my Democrat colleagues is that we share a common support of our veterans and recognition of the importance and respect of their service and for what they've given their lives for and what they stand for and what they do for us every day to preserve our freedom in this country. Sadly, I've also seen that sometimes the Clinton administration hasn't funded some of those services for veterans, and that's something I would like to see change. But certainly as a Republican, I believe that less government is better government. I believe that people should be in charge of their own destiny and that they need to take self-responsibility first. And certainly I think that people want to be in charge of how their money is spent, not give more to taxes, and have the government be in charge of how their hard-earned money is spent.
Lastly, Ms. Rodriguez.
I think I had a woman who's in an office as a Democrat say to me, I'm worried that Republicans don't understand how poor the people are, some of the people are. And I don't think that's true. I think we all understand that there are people who are poor. It's a different philosophy on how to address it. As governor, you have to be governor for all of the people. When I was village president, I sat down, it was a nonpartisan deal. And so I had to work with everybody together, and that's the secret. It's Democrats or Republicans, neither one are wrong necessarily. They're opposing philosophies. And we will find that we will recover our state faster if we can facilitate a healthy debate among the opposing philosophies and appreciate, respect one another's philosophy and come to some conclusions and consensus that will give us some good legislation that provides a good future for you.
Thank you.